again with Moon Knight. Yes, season 1, episode 5, penultimate episode of Moon Knight. So we're going to get through this and the finale today. I say that so many times, but I know we will. I know we will today. So, yeah, what's happened? Well, basically, at the end of the last episode, Mark was shot and he fell into the water inside Alexander the Great's tomb. And now it looks like he's stuck inside his own head, basically. Because he was in some sort of psych ward where his brain was sending him all different signals, like different memories of what was happening in the outside world. And now him and Stephen are like, they're in the same mind, but it's two separate bodies inside his mind. So, yeah, and not to mention we also came across this giant hippopotamus lady. At first I thought it was Amit, but then I think Amit is a crocodile, isn't she? She's got the shape of a crocodile or an alligator. So yeah, I'm guessing the hippo is not Amit, so that's my mistake. So, yeah. Interesting. And we also learnt that Mark did not kill Layla's dad, but Mark's partner killed Layla's dad. So, yeah, whether she blames Mark for that or not is yet to be seen. But, yeah, I'm not going to waste any more time and just get into the penultimate episode, Season 1, Episode 5 of Moon Knight, starting right now! Oh man, this was crazy. Best episode so far. There's no comparison so far. Wow! Funny that these better episodes include almost no action. This one didn't. Well, it included a bit of action, but the less action, the better the episode it usually seems. Well, except for a couple instances, but these last two episodes have been so good, and there's not been much action involved. But yeah, they were. So this thing, it is an afterlife. The duat and this hippo was Tawaret. What did they say? What did they say she was the god of again? Okay, the goddess of women and children. Okay, makes sense why she's so friendly. Tawaret, okay. And guiding them through the underworld, the Egyptian underworld, the duat. Okay. Interesting. And basically, they're being shipped off to where would eventually be the paradise, the fields of reeds, or be dragged down into the duat. This ship is basically a ship of memories, so there's two hearts, because there's one for Mark, one for Stephen, and she places them on the scales, but they're not balanced. It's like neither heart is full. So, yeah, the idea is they've got to open up to each other to do it. They've got to open up to each other to properly balance their scales, which in the end they kind of do. But yeah, just this idea of going through all their memories and trying to piece together. Well, I thought I was going to try and piece together both of their lives, because I thought neither one. Like, I was thinking like maybe Stephen doesn't know everything about Mark and Mark doesn't know everything about Stephen. But it's really Stephen who doesn't know anything about Mark, and he's got to find out what it is that Mark is hiding. And so we just spend the whole time going through Mark's memories and piecing together this broken history between these two. So we discover about Mark's family, his brother who drowned in a cave in the rain, which was obviously the little boy crying out in the rain at the beginning. But he took his brother into a cave, and the rain just filled it up, and his brother drowned. And as a result, his mother became abusive towards him. She blamed him for the brother's death, which is so hard to... Yeah, she blamed him, she became abusive. I don't know how anyone can think of putting their hands on their own child like that. Yeah, just in this moment, in this life of stress, all this stress that just built up, and this didn't, him just in denial that that was his mum doing that to him. He just created this alternate persona, which was Stephen. So I've been questioning this whole series, which one trumps the other, and it turns out that Mark is the one who created Stephen, this adventurer that he had a poster of in his room, this history explorer, this Indiana Jones type character. He created Stephen as an escape from the stress of his life, which is kind of how dissociative personality disorder works. Like, this alternate persona is formed to either take, because I've seen a lot of Criminal Minds as well, this alternate persona is created to either deal with your problems, be it either escaping from them or confronting them. Because there's some people who are like Stephen, they create a persona like Mark that takes care of the problem in a much more violent way. Or there's stuff like this where Mark is just living this life of stress, and he creates a persona of Stephen to just turn a blind eye to it and pretend to live a happy life. In the end, Stephen has this whole mentality that his mother's still alive, and it turns out it was Mark's mum's death that was the trigger for them starting to switch back and forth like this. Because in the end, in the beginning, Stephen was just like an escape for Mark away from the troubles of his life, the stress of his mum. It was an escape, but then her death, it sort of unbalanced that, and they just started shifting in and out, and they just started both living a life at the same time. Not to mention, we also saw the memory of where Mark first came into contact with Khonshu, and it turns out it was the moment, like I said last episode, it was the moment when his partner turned on him, killed all these people, including Layla's dad, and injured him, and that's what drove him to being Khonshu's new avatar. And not to mention, we finally got the first saying of his name, Moon Knight. Khonshu called him his Moon Knight, and I love it. Yeah, at the end, because back to their two lives, Mark is dealing with his mum's death, whereas Stephen is an escape from it, where he's living a life where his mum's still alive. But who the hell is he talking to on the phone? I don't know. But yeah, it's just this mentality. Maybe he's talking to no one, maybe he's just imagining it, because it is it is a mental illness. You can be imagining anything. In the end, Stephen has got to accept that he is the figment of Mark's imagination. He is the result of Mark's mental illness, and that his mum is really dead. He's got to accept that, and that's when they really understand each other. They're not completely balanced yet. Yeah, unfortunately the scales don't balance in time, and then people start rising up from the duat to try and drag Mark and Stephen down. And Stephen manages to make himself useful. He starts fighting people off to protect Mark, because all this time it's been Mark saving Stephen. So Stephen returns the favour, and now he is dead. And that's when the scales balanced, because he got dragged down into the sands and he turned into a sand statue. But was that the thing? Was that the whole key to it? One of them Stephen, the result of Mark's mental illness, had to die. Because when the result of Mark's mental illness, aka Stephen, finally came to terms with what he was, he realised that he was the fake person. And when he sacrificed himself, does that mean Mark has now become whole again? And that's when the scales have finally balanced. Also, does that mean it's also too late? Because then Mark woke up in the fields of reeds. So has Stephen been dragged down into the duat, the underworld, and has Mark gone to the heavens, the fields of reeds? Because that seems like it should be the other way around. Because for all intents and purposes, Mark is a bad guy and Stephen is a good one. So it kind of like it's kind of unfair that Stephen has to go to the underworld where Mark goes to heaven. But yeah, how do we fix this though? Because we've still got to stop Harrow, we've still got to stop Ahmet. We've just got to find out what the hell happens. And we've still got to free Khonshu as well, so I'm just thinking, how does this end? But we'll have to wait for next episode to see that. But for now, that is all we've got for this episode of Moon Knight. Until next time, we are over and out. Bye!